President Biden back from his 5-day taxpayer-funded family heritage odyssey in Ireland, but he's not in any mood to talk. The old man's snapping at reporters who keep pestering him about his 2024 plans.
Can you tell us whether the last few days has changed your calculus on when you'll make an announcement on your plans for 2024?
No. I've already made that calculus. We'll announce it relatively soon. But the trip here just reinforced my sense of optimism about what can be done.
So you've made a decision? You just have to announce it?
I told you, my plan is to run again.
Whoa, sorry, Gramps. But the media is ready to do Biden's dirty work on what's taken so long. The New York Times saying, quote, closed-door meetings about when to roll out the president's campaign are intensifying. Still with no serious primary challenge and Republicans infighting, he feels little pressure. Dana, you're the political mastermind here. Is this that Rose Garden strategy where they just stay out, let the Republicans fight it out?
Yeah, partly.
See, I knew my phrase.
Yes. Every time the press asks him about it, and he says, "I already told you I'm running," his staff is behind him going, "No, actually, no, not running yet." And a couple of things have happening. So. Yes, they want Republicans to do the infighting. Biden would love for the focus to be on Trump and just let it be about Trump and then see if he can figure out a way to get in the basement again and go through with the next election. But something interesting happened in the last month. His poll numbers have collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
They're even worse than they were before. And so there's no real viable at this point, excuse me, Marianne and Robert, competition for Biden right now. Mm-hmm. If Trump is the nominee, Biden feels like, yeah, I could do it, right? But what if he's not? So they also want to wait for another reason, because as soon as they announce, then they have to start adding in all of these different financial disclosure issues. But the other issue is the issue that they're talking about right now with Dianne Feinstein. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is at a point where Dianne Feinstein is, but everybody in the Democratic Party now is embroiled in a discussion of when are you too old to do the job? And it is a real discussion. I don't think that the Ireland trip was a great one for the White House. I know they'll disagree with me, but I think as a viewer, observing it, it was not great.
Yeah, and when you think about it, when you put it that way, you got Biden, Feinstein, Fetterman. I mean, that's not the brain trust, Will. You know, he called a lid before 10. Could it be he? Could it be? I mean, before 10 a.m. So, do you think he ever actually came back?
Oh, he went to the beach.
Oh, did he? Oh, he went to the beach.
He went to the beach house.
Went to the beach house.
Whether or not you're at the beach or you're home like Feinstein. You know, we talk a lot about these days artificial intelligence. We talk about a future where we have very little control. I would suggest to you we might have the artificial intelligence presidency, which is it's on autopilot. Who knows truly is in control of our country? It seems to be split up between a committee of people. And to think that Joe Biden would run again at the age of 82, at the end of his term being 86, it's like we're fully going to embrace a future where not sure who's the leader, not sure who's in control. If I might, Greg, I think this is fascinating. Well, there's this report out, which you may have, Greg, about the rise in independence over the last couple of years, 45% now.
Yep.
They think largely driven by Gen X and perhaps some millennials who don't identify as Republican or Democrat. I find that really fascinating because we usually think independent means centrist. I don't think that's what it means. And I do think that America First, Donald Trump's restructuring the Republican Party did reveal the appetite for a populist message with some conservatism in there that has totally restructured the way that we see politics and doesn't fit cleanly anymore into Republican and Democrat.
Judge, imagine, I hate playing this game because it's so cliched, imagine if Trump took his family on a family vacation and we paid for it. The apoplexia would be pronounced.
Well, yeah, can you imagine him and his sister and his kids and their kids and the grandkids, at least the one grandkid that he recognizes, Dana, and, you know, with no press conference, no discussion with anybody. And, you know, it makes sense that he said the trip reinforced his optimism about running. He was rested, so now he can run. But I agree with what Will is saying. I was stunned at the percentage of independents who literally are outnumbering both Republicans and Democrats. Democrats. I think people are fed up with the parties. I think they're fed up with politics. I think people see issues not as a right or left, but as like real issue. Inflation is a real issue. Can I pay for food on the table? Crime is a real issue. I don't care if it's Alvin Bragg or Rudy Giuliani who's prosecuting crime. I want it to stop. And so, what we've got is Joe Biden, who's the lone, car driver in the Democrat lane. And, he's at the lowest number I think he's ever been. I think he's 40 right now, which is probably one of the lowest numbers that Donald Trump had. And it doesn't mean anything. People who've reached that number, some have gotten reelected and some have not. 2 presidents have gotten reelected from 40 and 2 presidents have not. So this is it may look solid and secure for Joe Biden. I don't know if it is. I think this is a very different time. And I know what you're going to talk about in terms of, what you think about abortion and that overall impact on the election. And to a certain extent, I do agree with you on that. But at the same time, it's not about party. There's something else going on in the country.
All right, Jessica, I think we don't need to go to you now.
Well, it's funny, I could have guessed that you were going to say that. In fact, when the judge, I think, oh, she's being nice. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose my time. So, yes, I would mention that. And we've been talking about the rise of independents for years now. But you're right, they're not centrist. They all have 1 or 2 issues that make it impossible for them to vote for the other side when things have gotten this polarized. If you go back a few decades ago, it wasn't the same way. People had more commonalities in terms of what the platforms were. Talk about limited government or bigger government. The tax brackets were even closer together. No one was talking about going back to, Eisenhower levels. People were just saying this is a 10% range, let's say. The abortion issue is major. It was obviously major in the 2022 midterms. Something really interesting happened this weekend. Major GOP donor, billionaire, went to the New York Times and he said that he is stopping all campaign donations to Ron DeSantis, that him and his friends are extremely concerned about his new 6-week heartbeat bill that he signed in that private ceremony that he didn't want anyone to see. He also mentioned book banning, which sends, a stake right through the heart of the argument that the GOP is making, that they are not banning books. This is a guy who wants to back you. He wants to pay for your campaigns. And he sees what's going on in the kind of alienation.
What books was he talking about banning? Is this like, The Color Purple, or is this stuff that has like actual graphic sex in it that children shouldn't see? I love how when the Democrats do that, they go book banning, but they don't say, you could probably still get those books, by the way, anywhere. You just can't have a teacher use it for instruction. How is that banning?
I think that people know what they feel about this issue. They know what they have heard from their local politicians.
Especially if they're being misled.
Well, first of all, I'm quoting a GOP donor, someone who I probably agree with on next to nothing. This isn't me. This isn't Democrat.
So you're quoting somebody who's saying something's happening that he doesn't know about.
How about this? Elections have consequences.
I've never heard that before.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to coin it right here on this episode of The Five. To the point about the vacation, quote, vacation. So first of all, I don't know if you saw the scene in the County Mayo rally where he came out to the Dropkick Murphys and the castles lit up in the back and people were ecstatic about it. So first of all, I expect Dropkick Murphys to be a kind of Joe Biden walkout music going forward. It wasn't like this guy was a nothing burger up there, that he wasn't well received, that people weren't happy to see him.
In Ireland.
In Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you act like
president of the United States.
You act like he is a international embarrassment, and he is absolutely
Nobody
not.
said that.
Oh, I will.
Roll the tape.
So
Roll
you
the
took
tape.
more of your time than I did.
No, he didn't. Stop.
Yes, he
One
did.
more thing. If the Trumps had gone on vacation, excluding the fact that Donald Trump has a major germ phobia and owns enough real estate that he can go to his own resorts. I mean, this is a guy who flies home every night if he can because he wants to sleep in his own bed, which I understand. I think that's really nice. My dad used to be that way too, but obviously didn't own hotels. It's completely different to act like it's some big deal that the guy went to Ireland. He did meet with elected officials. Okay. It isn't, what?
Yeah.
So now you agree, you just made a whole stink about it.
So what you're saying is every president from now on should be a billionaire. Or we should re-elect Trump, because then we don't have to pay for the trips.
No, I said none of that at all.
All right, I gotta
anyway,
go.
bye.
That was fun, though.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.